This is Beer in Front, part of the Beer Media Group. Every week I'll talk to people in and around the beer world and get their stories all about beer. That's Beer in Front, and it's coming up now. Welcome to episode 237 of Beer in Front. I'm your host, Dave Zalatoris, and Beer in Front is a charter member of the Beer Media Group. I have a good show today. I'm talking to Joel Geier. You may know him on social media as Brewery Travels. Well, Joel is now an author. He has a new book coming out on the 17th of December called Flights Across America. I'm looking forward to reading the book. I got like a advanced copy, like a PDF, but I have the book ordered and I'll be having that in my grubby little hands on the 17th. So I'll include all those links where you could purchase the book, but that was a fun talk. So stay tuned for that. Later on in the show, I'm going to have a beer from Leinenkugel. In beer and beverage news, Pizza Hut's coming out with a wine. They're going to have their first ever wine, and it's a tomato wine. It's made in cahoots with a place called Just Beyond Paradise. I guess they're out of Irvine, California. It's a savory wine made with ripe tomatoes and infused with basil. I'm going to have to take a hard pass on it. It's $25 a bottle, and you have to order a minimum of 2. So I'm going to have to say no to that. If you're a fan of wine and you try the Pizza Hut wine, let me know how it is. If you're a fan of Yuengling and you live in the great state of Illinois, you'll be able to get this next year without bugging your friends in Pennsylvania and elsewhere to mail it to you. So finally, we can get some Yuengling here in the great state of Illinois. Revolution Brewing out of Chicago is adding their 15-year beer. That's coming out next year. This is going to be a blend of a rye ale and a barley wine. It's double barrel-aged in bourbon barrels, so I know Marty's going to take care of this. It's going to be in 12-ounce cans, I believe, and it's going to have, I saw like on My Beer Buzz, they had like the preliminary artwork, and it looked cool. It's like a gold label, and it has the names of all of the beers they've ever put out on the label. So look for that next year from Revolution. And speaking of Revolution, if you're around this Friday, the 13th, if you go over to their Kedzie location, and that's going to be weird, like starting next week, there's only going to be one location. But if you go to the Kedzie location of Revolution and you bring a brand new unopened package of diapers, you could support Share Our Space, and they will give you a full pour of anything on tap. That's anything that Revolution has on tap. You could help out a great cause, get yourself a great beer. I'm going to head over there. So head over to Revolution if you're in the Chicago area this Friday the 13th from 2 p.m. until they close. All right. Joel Geier, who you might know on social media as Brewery Travels, is one of the foremost experts on breweries and taprooms in the United States. We first talked way back in 2020 during the pandemic.
I remember that.
Yeah, and you were getting close to like 600, I think, at that time. You've more than doubled it, and as of the last time I looked at you on Instagram, you're up to 1367.
Yep.
There's no plans on stopping. He has a new book coming out called Flights Across America. That's going to be released next week on December 17th, just in time for any last-minute holiday shopping for beer lovers. Joel, thank you so much for coming on again to talk.
Thank you so much for having me, Dave. It's been too long since we chatted, and looking forward to sharing this book with beer lovers all over the place, and including down there in Chicago.
I mean, I know like we talked, back when we did the beer Twitter happy hours and
Oh yeah,
Discord stuff, but yeah, it's definitely been way too long.
absolutely. It's fun to get back on here and have a conversation with someone that I know is just as passionate about their local craft beer scene as I am.
The one thing I need to ask, why a book?
Selfishly, well, there's two sides to it. One is selfish that I really wanted a way to put a bow on this part of my life because we are no longer like living on the road. We are home permanently here in the Milwaukee area now, and I'm still going to be visiting breweries when I can, but it is not going to be the same as when we were living in different places, every few months and constantly traveling. And it's kind of a way for me to have this aspect of my life and all this work that I've kind of put into it into one physical thing, rather than because it's one thing I've loved, obviously, doing the Twitter and the Instagram posts of every brewery visit and sharing it that way has been awesome. But it's also not the best way if you want to, if you're trying to go back and, look at stuff and everything, like, especially on Instagram, you can't, search things. It's not easy to just do that and share it with people in the same manner as like with a book. And the book is just something I think too that a lot of people have wanted from me because I get people asking me for recommendations a lot, and asking me, advice on certain things. And this book kind of is a mix between a travel guide, a how-to guide, and a memoir. It kind of crosses those three things into one book. So yeah, I've been writing and working on it now for over 2.5 years, and it's very exciting to finally be here right at the finish line and getting ready to share it with everyone.
You started your social media account back, 10 years ago in 2014. And going back at that point, I think you were still under 100 breweries.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever in your wildest dreams imagine that you're going to be like over 1,300?
So I visited my first brewery my senior year of college in 2015. And then started visiting in 2016, and then we started traveling the first travel stint with my wife working as a travel nurse. And when we moved home, because she became pregnant with our daughter, and that would have been in 2018. I think just under 400 breweries at that point. My 400th was actually in Chicago at Old Irving. Shortly after we returned home, my wife was still pregnant at that point, and I always kind of had in my head like, okay, like someday I may get to that big 1,000 number, maybe, but it's going to be when I'm a lot older, like I'll get there eventually because it's something I want to do. And, I'll just here and there. And then after my son was born in 2021, the whole year, like during COVID and everything, even prior to that, my wife and I had always talked about missing the travel life and how much we enjoyed getting to experience these different places in that manner. And after my son was born, we did the crazy, crazy thing of going and living on the road with a toddler and a newborn child. My son basically spent the first, 3.5 years. We were home in between stuff, but he was just on the road, living all over the place. They're both almost 50 staters at this point already. But yeah, I think the bigger thing was the 50 states, getting to breweries in all 50 states. That was more of I wasn't sure when that was going to happen. And we made some special trips in order to do that. In particular, a place like West Virginia, Mississippi, Arkansas, we diverted out of our way on road trips and spent nights in those places so that I could get to some breweries. And then Hawaii and Alaska, obviously, were the last two. I had been to Alaska in high school, obviously didn't visit any breweries. But Hawaii was originally all booked for 2020 as a graduation present for my master's degree. That obviously didn't happen. And my wife had wanted to go to Alaska, and she was graduating in 2021, and that didn't happen either. And we had talked about kind of getting those back up and, and possibly doing one or two, doing one of them and then another one in the future. And I kind of told her, I'm like, we've saved, and everything. Like, for my book's purpose, it would be really, really good marketing. It would be so awesome if I could say, I've been to a brewery in all 50 states. And so we were able to do it. We did Hawaii in March and then Alaska in June. But even at this point last year, I wouldn't have necessarily thought that I was going to get to all 50 necessarily. I forget, it would have been around this time, but there was like going in, I was not sure I was going to get Hawaii and Alaska. So that would be more of the wow, like this actually happened. And the book is exactly what I want it to be then.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, before we continue talking, I know you have a beer there. I'm going to crack
Yes.
it open. So I'm doing the iconic Sierra Nevada's Celebration Fresh Hop IPA, you can't go wrong. Every time you see it when it comes out, it's like, thank you.
I think iconic is almost underselling it at this point.
Yeah. So I'm going to crack that open. What are you having today, Joel?
So I just got back from visiting my parents who live in Hastings, Minnesota, which is a little outside of the Twin Cities. And I'm going to be doing hopefully an event up there at Spiral Brewery later on, maybe in the spring or summer. It's the really nice little brewery right in downtown Hastings. And I picked up kind of a variety 4-pack, that I chose. And this is the one that kind of stuck out to me the most. I did not try it when I was there, so this is going to be my first time trying it. It is Babe's Blueberry and Maple Golden Ale.
Okay, sounds good.
So, I've had similar beers, but they're the little ASMR. So yeah, I am looking forward to this because I've had several. I like the Kolsch from this brewery, and I also had a really, really good sour when I was there this past weekend. And oh yeah, look at that's got. I wish that everyone could see this. This is a very deep, like reddish purplish. Like it is. There is no hiding that there are blueberry. That blueberry was part of this beer.
That's one thing I missed from our talks on Discord and like Twitter. Your great glassware that you always have.
Shout out Pretentious Glass Company in Knoxville, Tennessee. And they have a brewery also, and they are featured in the book. So they are my favorite glassware company.
All right, I'll
far.
have to include their link in the show notes, but yeah, that's an awesome looking glass. I know this is an audio, so I wish you could see it.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm getting a lot more blueberry. I'm not getting too much maple. I was hoping to have more maple in it, honestly. It's still good for sure, but I was just hoping for a little more maple, honestly. But still good. Still gonna enjoy it. So,
what in your opinion makes a great tap room, makes a great brewery?
That's a great question. And I kind of talk about this. So just to kind of give a basis for the book, besides the city breakdowns and, covering the beer scenes and everywhere, the entire first section of the book after the introduction and kind of explaining myself is about, it's titled Visiting Breweries, What I Learned. And then there's some subsections about beer tourism, planning a beercation, visiting a brewery, like what to look for, and then questions to ask. And in my eyes, obviously, the answer that everyone's just going to, the duh answer is obviously the beer. That trumps everything in the tap room in most people's eyes. Not everyone's, though. There are people that care more about the experience. And when it comes to that, it is kind of a personal thing. And I talk about that because some people want more of the, laid back, homey environment. Some people want to go to the huge warehouse that has tons of, games and, activities to do. So it really just depends. In my eyes, the most important thing is to be memorable in some way. And that sounds very vague, but I think when it comes to a tap room, only the top like 1 or 2% of breweries for the best beer, there can only be so many of them. And so there's a lot of other really good breweries, but being able to set yourself apart in some way, and that can be via the tap room. And I always like what makes my favorite type of tap room are when they are repurposing old historic buildings in different parts of the city, different towns. Obviously, my dad's a pastor, so the church breweries are my favorite. I've been to, I think, I don't even know. I think I counted this up with my friend, another beer friend, Chris O'Leary, once. I had like 12 or 13 church breweries. But I love, whether, an old bank, an old, music studio, whatever the case may be, when they are able to implement what that building's history was into the taproom experience, I think that is really cool because it's a way for you to not only be there to drink and enjoy the beer, but to learn more about the community that you are currently visiting. And then, obviously there's lots of other things too, having great food, having, having a good selection of entertainment options throughout the week. There's numerous ways that a brewery can differentiate themselves from other breweries. For instance, if we're talking about, the Rhino neighborhood in Denver or North Park in San Diego, where, right now in Milwaukee in the Bayview neighborhood, there's 8 breweries within walking distance. In those types of situations where there are so many breweries, you want to have, besides your beer, you probably want to have some other type of factor to help draw people in. So just being memorable in some way, one way or the, I guess you good in a good way though, not in a bad, memorable way. So
You mentioned in the intro of the book that Leinenkugel's Creamy Dark, Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale were beers that your father drank and were beer that kind of like got you indoctrinated into the craft beer world. I know they've renamed the beer now just Dark Lager, but do you ever now in 2024 just sit back and enjoy one of those beers?
I have not enjoyed that specific one. I have had some Leinies, and I do really love going to the Barrel Yard here in Milwaukee that's inside the baseball stadium, because that is open year round. And I actually go, oftentimes when I go there though, I like to get, because they have the small pilot brewery there that brews for beers only available on site there. So I often like to get those. They had a really good Berliner Weiss once that I went. But yeah, I probably should go back, and that would be a good thing to do now that the book is out. And as I said, if it wasn't for my dad, growing up in rural Wisconsin, rural Iowa, he was really the only one in the 90s and early aughts, that would have drinking much craft beer. It was hard to find any kind of craft beer. I mean, that's why, it was pretty much the fact that he had Leinies and Sierra Nevada. That was probably just about the only options for the most part. And yeah, because he always told me, if he's going to drink a beer, he wants to enjoy it. And I took that with me to college and probably enjoyed too much at times. But, I think we all had to kind of go through that process and try. I constantly just tried new things. And here we are, I guess you could say. Took it to a different level.
Off the subject, we were talking about Leinenkugel. Do you know, are they going to still continue the thing at American Family Park there?
Yes, to my knowledge, yes, they are. To my knowledge, they're closing, which is a travesty, the one up in Chippewa Falls, and then they're also closing the large Leinie's brewery that is more downtown, and they're just consolidating, and I'm assuming downsizing the production in the main Miller Valley campus is my understanding. But to my knowledge at this point, Barrel Yard is going to remain there.
Well, you better grab the Dark Lager now.
I know. It's going to may become harder to find.
Yeah. There's over, 1,300 breweries you've been to, and, done a lot of flights, so you've had countless beers. But what's usually in your beer fridge?
That's a great question. And I always tell people it's changed a lot, but over the last probably 3-ish years or so, it's really become a majority of lagers, like especially lighter lagers. I also really enjoy a good cream ale. There's a cream ale here produced by a Milwaukee brewery, Enlightened, called Cream City Bricks. It's one of my go-to everyday drinkers. But yeah, I would say right now, if I can find them, Czech lagers are my absolute favorite, pale or dark. But yeah, I mean, I get a lot of Pilsner, like New Glarus Pils. I get a lot of Pilsners, a lot of Helles Lager, Kolsch. That's mostly what I'm drinking when I'm at home. I think partly because, as you said, going to all these breweries, and for a long time, I mean, I was averaging, when we were out traveling, I was averaging like not almost a brewery a day. And because of that, I'm getting these flights and constantly trying a variety of styles. Because when I'm getting a flight at most breweries, I'm getting a variety, unless a brewery specializes in one thing, I'm getting a variety of, something light, something hoppy, something dark, a wild card. I'm trying lots of weird, sours and big, and stouts and Belgians and all sorts of stuff. And I love all the different styles of beer for the most part. But I do think to a certain extent, there is a certain amount of palate fatigue that takes place when you're constantly just drinking so many different beers and trying to take notes and everything. And so when I was at home, it just became a routine of, okay, I know this is just a really good, easy drinking, cream ale or lager or whatever the case may be. I can just sit back and just drink this, not having to think about it. And they taste it, and they just are my absolute favorite right now. So that it's majority lighter style stuff. That's just what I like to drink.
Yeah, and as much as I love like a barrel-aged stout or an extremely hoppy IPA, I do find myself like you. I just go back to, sometimes you just really want that's a good old-fashioned crispy lager.
Yeah. I mean, then that's exactly where I am. And I used to lean more into the, wheat beers, and I used to really also love, sours were my favorite for a while. I still do love them. And I try to do more IPAs, even though IPAs have never been in my top echelon of styles. I enjoy them, but they've never been up there, and I try to drink more of them. But yeah, now it's pretty much, I'll throw in a couple different styles here and there, but yeah, for the most part, it's my fridge is lagers and cream ales.
How's that beer holding up after it's warming up a bit?
Good. I think I'm getting a little more of the blueberry still on the nose. The blueberry is getting a little bit stronger. I'm still not really getting much maple.
Okay.
So maybe it's just, I don't know. Because this would be, it's a little bit older, I guess. It's over 3 months old. I bought it in the tap room. I didn't assume I would have needed to check canning dates, but
yeah,
could be because it's in a golden ale, so it's not the same as maple in like a stout or something. Probably that it could have the way if it sits for a while.
Yeah,
the flavor with that may have changed. So I think that may be the case here, but it's still fine beverage. Yeah.
Most people, when they think of beer regions, they think of Denver, San Diego, both Portlands. Is there an area of the country that surprised you in a good way for being such a great beer town or beer region?
Dave, there are so many. I mean, at this point, there's good beer being brewed almost everywhere. I do have a few that come to mind that really stick out, though. I've always talked about, some of the ones I've talked about for a really long time include Duluth and Missoula. Missoula is starting to become a little more trendy, but Duluth certainly has a great beer scene. Bent Paddle, Ursa Minor, Castle Danger, just north of there. Awesome breweries. Albuquerque has a surprisingly huge beer scene as well, and I need to do more out there. I've only been to breweries out there 2 different times. They have a ton of breweries. And then Charleston, West Virginia only has like 3 or 4, but they had really, really good beer in Charleston. And then I would say, though, I tell people probably the biggest surprise was Bismarck, North Dakota. That is not a place that anyone would think of when it comes to craft beer. I don't think. But my night there, I went to 3 breweries and had very good beer at all 3 of them. And one in particular just really wowed me. Gideon's Brewing right there in downtown Bismarck. So that was one that I was truly, because I talk about in the book that I try to keep level expectations, which is impossible because when you're doing research and you just know breweries also in different places. But that was a place where I truly came in with very limited, just no expectations and was really impressed by it. So that's a little fun fact if folks want to go out of their way, because it's in the middle of nowhere. Because I think most people know of Fargo because of Drecker, but I would say Drecker and Junkyard, but Bismarck I think almost may have the best overall beer scene in North Dakota because they have several really good breweries there.
Oh, that's cool. Like when you're going to a new spot, do you get like suggestions from people, or are you just going to Google breweries near me?
Yeah, but hey, that's actually, again, that's one of the topics I cover in the book, and I talk about that. It's a variety of tools. I definitely use Google, and I definitely do my research to see, where the breweries are, what breweries are available. Are there any breweries here that I'm already aware of that I know I would want to visit? And then, yes, I often do, especially, early on, especially before I had more knowledge, I would be posting on social media and be like, hey, I'm going, to, Colorado Springs, or I'm going to Boston. Like, what are the places that I need to visit? And and getting responses, whether it's Twitter or Instagram. And then I don't personally use it as much. I use it a little bit more, but, I know people use like the Untapped, rankings as well. I do talk about it in the book, to take it with a grain of salt, because certain styles are, sway the rankings quite a bit. So depending on what you like, it may be very helpful or it may not be as helpful. But it is another tool, and it's about using all the tools kind of together to put together the best itinerary, which is very, nerdy. And like I said, not everybody wants to do it that way. And I talk about that in the book too. But yeah, and I've actually done it before too. When I'm out and about, I stop at a brewery talking with a local, and they start talking about looking and learn about what I do. And I've on occasion gotten a recommendation from them while I'm there. And after doing some, talking about it, changed my plans and went there. So that's a good tool too, is once you're there, ask the other people around what their favorite breweries are in that town. Because if they're local, they're going to have a lot more experience, trying out the beers. So,
yeah. And that's a tool that I don't know if a lot of people do. I know, like my friends and I, when we travel, we do like our guys trip. One of the first things we do, we find somebody that works at the hotel. Ask them, where are you going for lunch? What are you doing? And you're always going to get a good answer. They're not going to tell you some dump. They want to
Yeah.
great places to go to.
So yeah, that's why I included the section in the book about questions to ask, because to me, the people at the brewery are going to have so much more knowledge than pretty much anywhere else that you're going to go. Because occasionally you'll find a brewery's website that's really great and has tons of information, but it's pretty rare to have everything that you would want to know on the website. And so asking the workers there, especially at a small brewery, if you're in a big corporate brewery, it may not work out as well trying to find that out, and there would probably be more information about them online anyway. But the small breweries, the people behind the bar, the people working there are probably going to know the history. Oftentimes, they know the history of the building, which is one of my favorite questions to ask about.
They probably own the brewery.
It's very possible that you can talk to that. You're talking to the owner, and they're going to know a lot about the beer. And if you ask, on occasion, if I'm having a tough time picking out my fourth beer, I'll be like, hey, what should I get for pick an IPA for me, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, that's something that I really think is a great resource is having those conversations while you're at the brewery. Obviously, I like to go to breweries. I prefer to go to breweries during more downtimes. So, weekdays and stuff. Because if you try to go on a Saturday night and it's packed, you're obviously not going to be able to have a conversation with these people because they're going to be busy working. But if you're there when it's a little more quiet, then that's the opportunity to really be able to learn more about these places.
I know from reading the book and knowing you take copious notes from all the breweries that you go to, but you don't have the notes in front of you right now. So off the top of your head, Joel, what has been the brewery that you remember most fondly, just right off the top of your head?
I mean, it's New Glarus, because visiting there was pretty early in my travels, but that was just getting to be there in person. As it's a Wisconsinites, I feel like Wisconsinites are just really proud of New Glarus because of what they've achieved and how great their product is and how cool it is to visit that location. And I am thrilled to see what they are doing with this expansion. I think it is going to be phenomenal for them. And it's going to be really, really neat. Some other names off the top of my head, I love visiting Bow and Arrow in Albuquerque. Going to Jester King was really, really neat. That was a cool one to get to. I would say, Sierra Nevada and Asheville, or outside Asheville, that's another one that obviously sticks out. The most recent one this year, my favorite would have been Anchorage Brewing up in Anchorage, Alaska. That one you'll see in the book in my awards section. Phenomenal stuff. But yeah, I talk about that because I include, as you know, because I sent you the PDF, the annual review award winners every year of each year. And so it's something that I'm pretty proud of. And yeah.
We're beer people, so we might look at a brewery or place through a different lens. You mentioned that your wife, Rosa, is not a fan of beer. What has been the place that she's enjoyed the most?
Ooh, I remember, Stone Brewing was my 300th brewery visit back in 2018. And so one thing about my wife, she has been so incredible, and that is why obviously the book is dedicated to her. This entire Brewery Travels persona, everything, none of this would have been remotely possible without her. And although she hates beer, she has had many, many, many amazing meals at breweries. She loves, I think, probably 90 to 95% of the breweries that we've eaten at, she has loved the food. And Stone Brewing in particular, you're putting me on the spot. I cannot remember exactly what kind of salad it was, but I remember that she had some sort of salad that she absolutely loved. And yeah, so she has enjoyed food at many a brewery, and we have stopped on many a road trip with taking our kids into the to the brewery and eating lunch, so that I could hit another one. So yeah, it was that was one though I do remember early on that we enjoyed, and that was pre-kids, so it was just the two of us too.
All right, that's cool. Your son's probably a little too young, but is there one that your daughter talked about or really loved?
Not exactly, but they definitely understand breweries because they talk about they know that dad's going to a brewery. In the evening, if we're in a hotel and we're out somewhere, they know that dad's going to a brewery, and they stop at breweries and they know that dad's going to the brewery and that he drinks beer there, and they like to smell the beer. And they've enjoyed, some food too and everything. But at this point, no, they have not necessarily developed a a hankering for one spot in particular.
Like this makes it better
see.
chicken fingers than
Yeah. We'll have to see. Eating at 3 and 5, and obviously well before that, at like 2 and 4, and it's a crapshoot. It's like it's sometimes it's just it's a crapshoot.
Yeah, this place had really good French fries. I love them.
Uh-huh.
Even back during like the beer happy hours that we did, you have always said, and it's one of the things I love about you. You've always said without fail how fortunate and lucky you are with your family. Can you describe that for people that maybe not know you? Like, how is that for you?
Yeah, well, I talk about it in my book. Like, so I mentioned the traveling stuff, and Rosa worked as a travel nurse in 2 different stints. The first full year that we traveled, and then again, when we started traveling the second time, she worked 2 travel jobs, and then she transitioned she got her doctorate and became a psychiatric nurse practitioner, but worked fully remote. And so we were able to have even more freedom to travel, and that enabled us to go and live in these hot spots. We went and lived in Seattle and Denver and, in New Orleans. Like we went and we could pick and choose, and we went and lived by New York City. And so her profession is what literally has enabled me to do this. I mean, without this, I would say I would definitely be less than half of what I've done, both in terms of breweries and probably number of states. And the fact that my family has often patiently stopped and waited in the car so that I could run into a brewery for like 15, 20 minutes. It is like I said, this is not something, in some ways it would be harder if she also wanted to go with me to everything with the kids, because she is content to, be with the kids, in the evening, and, if I was going to go out. But in reality, like I said, it is something that she has essentially not only just put up with, but supported in a lot of ways. And like I said, my kids have too. My kids have, waited, and the kids have gone and eaten at lots of breweries. And it means a lot to me to kind of finally be in this position with the book that I can actually maybe do a little something. And, because I know it's not just about, making money for me with this book. It really isn't. Because it really was a passion project, but that would be a nice little bonus if I can finally, because I've been a stay-at-home dad. I guess I should have also mentioned that when we were traveling. I've been a stay-at-home dad, since I graduated with my master's in December of 19 and became a stay-at-home dad at that point. And so, yeah, like it would be kind of fun to, rather than just having her foot the bill for all my brewery visits, because I'm not going to crunch the numbers, and I don't want to crunch the numbers for that many brewery visits and flights and t-shirts and all that kind of stuff and food. It would add up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And so that is why I am just eternally grateful for them, in particular my wife, for her support. And yeah, like I said, I guess I just really love my wife. I'm very blessed, and so I have no problem, giving her the praise and talking about how much I appreciate her. Which is a good thing that she's not going to be listening to this, because she hates when I try to brag about her and talk her up and stuff. So I'll make sure that she doesn't listen to this one.
All right. No, listen with the headphones off. Give me another.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. That's a good. I just have it on her phone playing, on the side.
Outside of breweries, what else do you like to do, either by yourself or with your family?
Well, obviously we love to traveling was our big thing, and we love to go take in a new city. Doing museums, monuments, whatever a city's best known for, food. And then I'm a diehard sports fan, Packers and Bucks. My son's name is Lambo, so it's like there's no questions on my allegiance there. And being here in Milwaukee, I love going to Bucks games whenever I can. So yeah, I would say being a sports fan and the brewery fanatic are kind of my two. I have other things I enjoy doing, like fishing and stuff, but the two things that I spend my time for sure and energy are for sure, sports and craft beer.
Now that the book's going to be out next week, what's in the future? Are you going to continue to do more long form media? What's in the future for Joel?
Yeah. So in terms of just strictly brewery travels, I'll continue whenever I can to visit new breweries and post about my brewery stuff, in and around Milwaukee. I'm actually the last year I've been working on a new kind of joint venture, Badger Beer Hour, with some other beer writers and beer journalism people across the state of Wisconsin, that we cover the Wisconsin craft beer scene. And we are currently going to be in a transitional phase pretty soon, and doing some really cool stuff. I can't give out all the details yet, I believe, because I think we're announcing that it'll be shortly after this comes out, that we're going to kind of go through more of those details. But we have some big news on that front, in terms of how we're going to cover the Wisconsin craft beer scene. So that is the one pro to, being home permanently now is that I really get to dive in and become more part of this local craft beer scene here in Milwaukee and Wisconsin as a whole that I do truly love. So that is certainly one pro of the situation.
Well, before I let you go, I need to ask one more question, and I'm going to throw you a mix. I'm going to throw you a little change up here.
Yep.
I need you to pick a beer from your 6 favorite breweries for your Flights Across America mix back.
Okay. Let me pull. I've got my author. I've got my book
All
here.
right.
So let me flip here. I already know. So I know 2 right away. To get a variety. So one of my light style beers is going to be the Kolsch from Chuckanut Brewery, which is based in Bellingham, but I visited their location in Portland. Arguably the best beer I've ever had. It's up there. Another one that will for sure be on there, my sour, will be this past year I mentioned Anchorage Brewing. Time for a Change. Or no, sorry, not Time for a Change. That was their Czech Pilsner that was also really good. The sour, where's that at here? Oh yeah, All Seeing. And that was a sour ale with hand-picked Alaskan blueberries. So you want to talk about immaculate. That was immaculate. For my dark beer, there's several I could go to. I think I'm going to choose, though, the Bear Cookie, which was from early on in my travels at Bear Roots Brewing in Vista, California. It was a chocolate peanut butter milk stout. I am also a big fan of the Belching Beaver peanut butter milk stout. I think everybody loves that beer. I thought Bear Cookie was even better. Love that beer. IPA wise, ooh man, that's tough. There's a lot of really good ones. There's Pixel Density from Phase 3 there, but I think I'm going to go with the Crusher from The Alchemist. I feel like getting. I know people like the Heady Topper, but I thought the Crusher was even better, and that was from my very first annual review. But I'll go with the IPA for that one. Trying to think of some other fun ones. I'll throw in the Fodor Saison from Trace Brewing in Pittsburgh. I'll throw that one in there. And then because I love lagers, I'm going to go back. Oh man, this is a coin flip. Oh man, I'm going to say both of them, but then I will go with one. Denim Tux, a Blue Corn Pilsner from Bow and Arrow Brewing in Albuquerque, and Patience and Gratitude 2023, a Fodor Lagered Czech Pilsner from Wild East.
All right.
And I'm going to go with the Fodor Lagered Czech Pilsner. That will be my 6th one.
All right.
So there I've got a Kolsch, the Czech Pils, an IPA, a sour, the peanut butter milk stout, and then the Fodor Saison. Although I could have also done a Belgian style too, but I've already done it. I guess I'm done.
Right.
So
there you go.
That was the best I could do on the spot, Dave.
All right, very good. Well, now I pre-ordered the book on Amazon. Where can somebody pick up Flights Across America?
Yeah, so right now it is available for pre-order on both Amazon and Barnes & Noble. I am currently working on hopefully going to get it into some brick and mortar stores at some point. I'm also going to be hosting a variety of events and where you are going to be able to, meet me. I'll sign books and everything. And Dave, I know that you already know that I'm going to be down in Chicago in January. So if any Chicago people want to either wait to buy the book and get it from me in person, or if they buy the book ahead of time and want to bring it with to get it signed, I will be at Off Color Brewing on January 25th at 12:30. Besides doing the Meet the Author signed books and everything, we're also going to be doing a Q&A and some conversation stuff. So it's going to be a whole event. I may be doing a second event somewhere in the Chicagoland area, probably more to the north that day. We'll see what pans out. You can check my socials, the Brewery Travel socials, for any announcements in that regard. But yeah, I'm going to be working to get the book out in more places. But yeah, Amazon is obviously, and Barnes & Noble. Those are the 2 big ones and the easiest ones to get to. If you search for Flights Across America, you will be able to find it.
Yes, and definitely. So it's coming out on the 17th. I know this episode's going to drop on the 12th. So definitely pick it up. You'll get it. If you order from one of those places, you'll have it in time for the holidays if you have a beer lover in your life, or if you're a beer lover yourself and you just want to.
Absolutely. I did the release, like I pushed the release up on purpose. I talked with the publisher. I got it released earlier than they normally would have on purpose. There's a reason for that.
Yes, absolutely. Put it in somebody's Christmas stocking. It's flights across America. Joel Geier, once again, Joel, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate talking to you. It's been too long since we've spoken. Can't wait to, get the book in my hands next week and get the
I'm excited about that
physical
too.
copy. Yes. So, and I'll see you on the 25th for sure. But is there anything else you want to tell people before we close it up?
No, just know that you're getting if purchasing the book, you're getting a book from someone that truly loves the topic and that is very passionate about it, and that I really poured myself into this, and that it came out exactly the way I wanted it to. I should also mention there's over 70 pages of color photos of of the best flight boards that I saw, some tap rooms and tap room views and tap handles, all sorts of stuff. So if you're a visual person, there is plenty of visuals as well. But obviously there is a lot of great information to read about pretty much everywhere in the country. So I'm thrilled to finally be getting this into the hands of beer lovers everywhere.
Thank you again. Congratulations on all your success. And we're recording this the day of the Packers-Lions game, so I'm going to let you get off.
Yeah, we're going to see how that goes. Yeah, I'm a little worried about
this game here.
Yeah, we're okay. I think we're in an okay position for the playoffs, but the Lions and the Eagles both seem like they're a step ahead of everybody in the NFC for now.
Now you're doing better than we are. So
yeah, that's true. You got to go find a coach now.
Yeah. All right, Joe. Thanks again. We'll see you next month at Off Color.
Absolutely, Dave. Thanks for having me.
All right, the beer that's in front of me now is from Leinenkugel. This is their red lager. It's a robust red Vienna-style lager. I was looking for the dark lager that they have after talking with Joel, and I couldn't find it. There's a Jewel by me that carries some of their stuff. They usually have variety packs, so I figured I would get it there, but they had a different variety pack. So I grabbed this one. I figure, all right, it's a red lager. It's a Vienna style, which I like. So hopefully this one will be good, although I was wishing I'd get that dark lager. So let's crack it open. This one's 4.5% alcohol, and let's give it a whirl. Their red lager is a nice, beautiful color, good foam here, good couple fingers of foam. Smells decent. I like the aroma. You get those nice malts there. I think the aroma smells good. I don't know about this one. The malt hits you up front, like pretty strong. Then I'm getting some bitterness here, but this is a really thin tasting beer. Now, it's only 4.5%, but it tastes very thin, and like the bitterness at the end is not like a normal hop bitterness. I don't know if I'm digging this one. Yeah, I'm going to have to take a pass on that. I wouldn't put this one in the cart if I were you. If you really want to try one, I've got 5 more of these left. You could let me know and I can find a way to get one to you. But no, I'm not a fan of this red lager. They say it's a Vienna style lager. It's like a light Vienna. Yeah, it smells good. All right, the local beer I'm going to have is brewed at Pilot Project in Chicago and Milwaukee. This is Standard Goods Pale Ale. It's in a beautiful gold can, 5% alcohol. Rarely you just see a pale ale out there, so I'm looking forward to this. I don't think I've had anything from them before, so let's crack open the Standard Goods Pale Ale. Nice golden color here, good foam on this, good 3 fingers of foam. Smells very floral like. I don't get like the general citrus hops that you get with some American pale ales. This smells very floral. I don't see anything on the can like which hops they use, but I think the smell is really good. That's a really good beer. The taste is floral as well. There's some bitterness there, but it has a really good flavor. Like the first thing that hit me were the floral notes, then a little bitterness. You get some of the malt in there, but those floral notes from the hops really hit me right up front. And I think it tastes good. It's something different that I'm not used to getting with a pale ale or an IPA. I'm going to have to go online and see what hops they use, but Standard Goods Pale Ale is really good. Let me have some more of this. No, that's a good beer. I would definitely pick up more of these. I saw this in my local bottle shop, Bottles and Cans on Lincoln Avenue, so I picked it up. They had another one. I forget what style it was, but I'm like, I haven't had a pale ale in a while, so I grabbed this, a single can. A single can was a little over $2, so not too bad. I'll have to pick up a 6-pack of this, or better yet, just head over to Pilot Project and have this on tap. So if you're in the Chicago or Milwaukee area and you see something from Standard Goods, their pale ale, I would definitely put this one in the cart. It says right on the can, raise your standard. So who am I to argue? But no, Standard Goods Pale Ale is a winner. You definitely have to grab this one and give it a try. All right, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of Beer in Front. I thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to support the show, please head over to patreon.com/beerinfront for more information. Thank you again to Joel Geier for coming on and talking flights across America. You could pick that up at Amazon right now. Pre-order that. It's coming out on the 17th. Have a great week, everyone. I'll talk to you next week. And remember, sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet.